So I call this guy who worked for me. I'm like, dude, like, let's go to the Bahamas, get a plane. And like 7 hours later, I rounded up 10 random friends and we're on a jet back to the Bahamas. And we're there like doing this weekend trip. My old high school buddy goes, you should totally do a festival here for all your Magnesium members.
So it's all his fault. And it's that guy's fault.
Yeah, it's all his fault.
Was there drinking revolving around this idea when you guys made it?
I don't even remember. Like, I think it was during the day. We were just like walking around one of the sandbars, and he's like, "You should totally do a festival here."
That's an incredible idea.
He must have not.
I still think it's awesome.
Yeah, he must have not known who he was talking to. He's like talking bullshit. He's like, "Yeah, man, somebody should throw a festival here or something." You're like, "Yeah, we really should throw a festival here. That's a great idea."
And he's some like I'll give he's like some super boring corporate like sales like middle management like guy, right? Like could never actually fathom that idea becoming a reality. I'm like, no, that's a great idea. I'm like, what if we make it a treasure hunt too? And he looks at me like I'm crazy. He's like, you're really going to do this, right? And that was September. And then fast forward 3 months to December of that year, our marketing video drops. So it all just like,
that's fast,
it happened like that.
And I want to touch on that for sure. That whole campaign, I honestly think that was one of the most impressive social media campaigns that has gone on.
It was so dope.
I mean, how did that transpire? Like, was that your idea? Did you work with an agency? Did you have your team around you? Like, how did that whole idea of let's bring the top influencers together and have them do a coordinated basically post? How did that all happen?
So many people have said like, oh, it was their idea. And the reality is it really wasn't one person's idea.
Yeah.
It just like came together from 3 months of just trying to up the ante and push the stakes in the island. Like we get back from that trip and I tell like the one guy who I think was in one of the documentaries named Delroy, who was like the bartender for that first trip. I'm like, Delroy, I'm coming back in 2 weeks and we're doing a festival here. And he's like, yeah, all right. So I get back to New York and I'm like, okay, I think we need models to help promote this festival. So I call the president of like, at the time, the biggest modeling agency in the world, and like give a request list for 5 of the who's who of the modeling world. And he literally just like laughs me off the phone. He's like, yeah, not happening, kid. Like, I don't care what you're offering or what you can pay or what island you claim to have been to for vacation. Like these girls aren't coming. So I kind of worked my way down the list until an agency finally says yes. And we go back 2 weeks later as promised, do the exact same trip. And the girls come back and they're like, that was the best fucking weekend of my life.
That's
and
awesome.
Then word gets around. So every 2 weeks we would like step up one rung on the ladder until, a few trips later, the same guy who laughed us off called us back and was like begging for us to take his talent.
And did you have to pay that talent whenever they called you and asked to come back? Did you have to pay them or did they want it for like their own promotion as well?
So we paid for like the super A-list ones to come.
Okay.
And then as soon as we did that, like they all just wanted to come for their own promotion. Mm-hmm. I don't think this has been covered. We did an open casting call that winter and like we had like, so it was really bad. Like,
That's so funny.
We had this, it was really bad. We had this Tribeca like storefront townhouse, like a 3-story thing. And on the main floor was our tech floor. So we had all these like engineers, their headphones on, their big monitors. And we had this like super nice conference room downstairs. So all these girls wanted to come on the trip. And our entire game plan of the casting call was to build a database of every female influencer in New York that we can form a relationship with and like get them to market with us. So they come in their big coats in the winter and then like have their bikinis underneath and be prancing through in like the middle of February. So all of our like programmers are like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my God, this is heaven.
This is crazy. But and our entire thing was like, we would do this and just like build a database. And we had like literally a full-time guy whose job it was to manage this like influencer database of talent.
Hell of a job.
And then, so I guess it wasn't quite February at this point, but some point in like the winter. And then our strategy was, okay, we have so many people now. Let's have them all promote this at exactly the same time. The ones who came on the trip, obviously were required to post a tile, but everybody else, we just exchanged them 2 free tickets for their post. And that worked great because like we wanted them to be there, right? Like, so it would make the event look better and make it more fun. And so they all want to come. And it's like a really cool,
That is extremely impressive because just coordinating like 10 people for like a simultaneous type of same day post is extremely hard because like I've done this stuff like that in the past and it's extremely difficult. On the scale you did is like I'm sure it's very easy when we're not very easy. It's a lot easier when you're working with agencies that that house a lot of this talent, but still it's extremely difficult and a very big feat, I think, actually.
So what we did was we took probably like 15 of the top ones to the island for that day and literally put everybody like in the communal living room and had these like chalkboards where he wrote exact instructions. We're like, all right, guys, we're not moving until you all post. Like, all right, wait, go. Like, and the good thing is like once they all posted exactly the same time, everybody else who you'd like spoken to, once they saw the A-listers do it, they were quick to follow on board. So it was all about getting that core group like in person to make sure it actually got done.
And were you just like refreshing your feed and just seeing how it was going? Like, what were the nerves like in that moment when everyone posted? Were you like, let's hope this goes as well as we plan?
So we like just as they were posting, our Wi-Fi in the island went out.
Holy shit!
It's like I like threw my computer in a backpack, hopped on a jet ski for like the 20-mile ride to like the next island that had their own cell phone tower. So I get there like see what's going on, or like our website's crashing, and like we don't really know what's happening, and then just like start celebrating and partying, and wake up the next morning and like we sold a shitload of tickets, and I'm like, oh my god, this is real, like it is happening.
Now, what was it like partying with everybody like that?
Yeah, I
Come on,
know. There's got to be a story or two.
Yes, I think just like people connecting around the adventures. We like sort of unplanned in the beginning, had this like 3-day script, which would culminate in a third night just being this crazy island party. And like you're in the middle of nowhere. There's like no pollution. Like you're seeing all the stars. There's a bonfire in the beach. There's like phosphorescence in the water. So like when you're like swimming around, it's like lighting up. It's just like it's as magical as it sounds. But
it's very smart because it's like you were taking these people all on these little trips, and then like you were kind of just showing them what it could be like, which made them extremely interested. That they wanted a ticket. That I mean, if you gave them free tickets, you don't have to, I don't know exactly. I'm sure everyone was different if you had to pay the money or if they just wanted tickets or like, but it's very smart because you were taking these people on this trip, showing them the adventure of how fun it is. And then they're correlating to, okay, well, if this is a festival, this is going to be fucking insane. I want to go to this. Yeah. And you could use that almost. It's very smart.
And the best thing is they would come back, and then beyond like the online marketing, the like top talent has an incredible network of buyers, right? Like, the most successful guys in the world try to court like the top models in the world. Like that's just like the way the world works, for better or worse. And so they would come back and just like say how great the trip was. And so now the potential ticket buyer access we're getting from these like word to word, like mouth to mouth sales is super good. And that helped the marketing as well beyond all the online stuff.
Did you learn a lot of this from just growing Magnesis? Because you obviously have a very good touch on what consumers want. And was that just kind of through your years of experience, or was there a certain point where you really started to figure out what people really, you know, for the status, for example, like when did that kind of click for you?
I think with Magnesis, we were just starting to learn like what kind of moments went naturally viral in terms of like, what could we do where someone's going to go back and tell 4 friends that they have to buy like this service or this product or this experience right now. And the trips were clearly like what we were hitting on. Then once we started bringing the talent on these trips, that's like, okay, this is like a much hotter touch point than anything we've ever had before. And we have this moment in time right now where we're going to this amazing place and no one else in the world is going to. Like, let's capitalize on this and go all in.
That's amazing. Okay, so after you sold a lot of tickets, or you guys sold out, I don't know, did you guys sell out that after you guys did that whole campaign?
Not that day. Like, I think that in reality, we just didn't know what our capacity was going to be. So we just kept adding like more expensive ticket options, whether it was like a boat or a house or just like something crazy. And we sold some, we didn't sell others. But this is now like mid-December of 2016. And in the marketing video, we promised a festival date for April of 2017. Wow. So we literally had just over 4 months to make all of this happen. And that was just,
do you think that was like
impossible.
The biggest issue with everything that happened? Was it mostly like a timeline thing? Like maybe you just didn't give yourself enough time to set everything up?
I think like biggest issue is me lying to like the investors, because like that pushed help away. And like, it sent me to jail. It fucked everything up. The second biggest issue was the timeline. Okay. And if we had 18 months or even 12 months, I don't know if we'd be sitting here right now. Maybe it's a different conversation.
Right. Yeah. Well, because then
maybe our podcast would be from the island.
That's what I'm saying.
You wouldn't have been like in a corner though, and you wouldn't have had to maybe say those things if you had just more time in general.
What was who determined the timeline? Why did you want to push 4 months so much? Was it just like you wanted, like you didn't want the virality to die down?
I think with Magnesis, like the events we were doing were on such a small scale, but they're always at the last minute's notice. Like the longest lead time for Magnesis event was like 2 weeks. So I'm still kind of like living on this in the moment entrepreneurial mindset. So to me, 4 months felt like an eternity. And like, it sounds crazy right now, but I couldn't even fathom planning something 4 months out. So we're sitting there making the video. I'm like, yeah, April sounds great. Like,
that's awesome.
if it's like 10 years away. Yeah. But I just couldn't like comprehend like how little time it actually is, and like what the logistics actually would have required to make this work.
Yeah, that's what I was going to